Good morning. You're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie Laurel. It's the start of a new trading day. Let's kick off with our top story. Bangko Sentral Governor Ben Diokno says it is easier to open up the economy to foreign investments through legislation rather than constitutional change. Diokno says tweaking the restrictive economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution is the, quote, first best option for Congress, but this does not appear feasible less than a year before the 2022 elections. He said pushing to relax economic provisions is absolutely to be relegated for after the 2022 presidential polls. Diokno says what is feasible for now are some pending bills in Congress, including the Public Service Act, Foreign Investments Act, and Retail Trade Reform Act. The lower house had earlier adopted a resolution seeking to revise the economic provisions of the 1987 charter, but senators said they are unlikely to prioritize the approval of a resolution to ease foreign ownership limits under the Constitution. Congress is currently adjourned and will return to session on July 26. That's just in time for President Duterte's sixth and last State of the Nation address. Now, today marks the biggest single-day vaccine delivery for the Philippines, as 3.2 million vaccine doses are expected to arrive in the country. 1 million more Sinovac doses just arrived at the NAIA Terminal 2 past 7 a.m. today. Before that, vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said that 100,000 Pfizer jabs were delivered straight to Davao earlier this morning. Another 2.1 million doses of Pfizer jabs from the COVAX facility is set to arrive tonight. 210,600 of these will be sent to Cebu, and another 100,000 shots will be delivered to Davao, while the rest of the jabs will remain at the cold storage facility over in Marikina. Galvez adds that 100,000 more doses of Russia's Sputnik V vaccines will also arrive tomorrow. With these developments, the government is confident that the vaccine supply in the country will be normalized by June 14th. Meanwhile, overseas, the Group of Seven, or G7, is set to vow to donate at least 1 billion extra doses over the next year to help cover 80% of the world's adult population. That's according to a draft communique seen by Bloomberg News. Does the market rally of yesterday really have legs? Is the herd immunity bull run underway? Let's take a quick peek at our open. Seems to be that. Take a look at that. Strengthening at 69.23.64. That's up a hefty 0.3%. And of course, a welcome rally. Even as yesterday, we had already raced past the 6,900 level. We were the biggest gainer in Asia, the highest we've seen since March 3rd. And we are hitting a 3-month high. I'm going to pull out the year-to-date chart for you guys so you can see this uphill climb here and finally getting above that level and hoping to stay there, of course. Now, this has been strongly supported by net foreign buying yesterday, and you can see that on the rightmost part of my chart here. After a slew of Red Sea of funds, foreign funds selling out, they have finally aggressively bought local stocks yesterday at 1.1 billion pesos. We saw the highest net foreign buying since June 3rd. Now, this according to Chris Mangon, the market had rallied after the higher trade data and manufacturing output for the month of April was released. He said that the large cap properties and blue chips remained heavily depressed and continued to then be picked up to lead the entire PSEI higher. Now, this from Jonathan Rabelas of BDO. Interesting point. He said there's a growing optimism that the reversal of the funds flow might not be short-lived as initially expected. Now, recall that some analysts had said that this might have been simply due to the Mondanisan IPO, the biggest we've ever seen in our history. But it does seem to be the case that even after that, they seem to still be buying into our local markets. Now, let's take a look at the movers here as we open our markets 4 minutes into trade. DMCI leading the pack up by 2% this morning. Meanwhile, on the downside, we've still got Ayala Corp, Ayala Land, Mega World, and Jollibee sitting out this continued rally this morning. Now, with a slow vaccination rollout, business groups are volunteering to shoulder some of the responsibility. Here to chat with us on what exactly the latest plans are, we have with us George Barcelon. He's the private sector representative of LEDAC and the past PCCI president. Good morning, sir. Welcome back.
Morning, Danie.
Sir, you have the latest details on the research that you're conducting together with Okta and, of course, the government as well, wherein you're hoping to find a way to reopen the economy by Christmas period. Is this even possible? And if so, what's the strategy?
Well, it's a goal, I think, that we need to bring about. Now, primarily, it shouldn't be just based on the numbers, dictation of numbers. We know very well now the vaccination program is rolling. May not be as ideal as we would like. So far, it's more than 5.5 million people have gotten their first jobs, and then for the second jobs, it's only about 1.3 million, I think, or 1.4 million. That's one of the gaps that we're experiencing, the government experiencing, because many of the first people who got their first jobs did not return for their second jobs. So there's a lag. Actually, the number of people that should be fully vaccinated should be more than 2 million. So the government has to work hard on that. I would suggest that the government do a bit of contact tracing for those who got in their first jobs. Remind them, because many are working class. They tend to forget the schedule that they have to go back. No? And depende sa bakuna, may mga iba 1 month, may mga iba 3 months. So this is something that government need to really focus on. Now, on the herd immunity has been tweaked a bit to population protection, which we all agree in the NCR plus. Okay, so we're talking about 25, 30 million people to be vaccinated. But having said that, it all depends on the delivery of the vaccines that we've ordered, and of course, hearing the good news of Europeans and also in United States that they will be allocating more vaccines for the Philippines. So the flow of the logistic flow is must be prepared ahead of time. We don't want the vaccines to be here, and then the vaccination centers have not been set up yet. Even the vaccines that have been ordered by the private sector through the effort of PA Joey on the AstraZeneca, and also that of the ICTSI from the company of Mr. Ricky Rason on the Moderna. Those are coming in gradually. Okay, those are coming in. Actually, should be here already, but it should be here by within the month of June and July. And this is where private sector must hopefully must be part of the rollout. And suggested in our meetings, as you mentioned earlier, the other day, I suggested that the DOH authorize companies, doctors, or nurses to do the vaccination in their premise, so that it's a question of convenience. And usually, many of these in the PEZA zone, big companies, they do have enough areas to accommodate social distancing and pre-checking and everything. So maybe that would help speed up the vaccination. So
Can
far,
I interrupt you there? Why hasn't this been done yet? I'm sure you've been pushing for this for quite a while already. Even just ordering the Moderna vaccines via ICTSI, even talking to Joey Con, for sure you've already pitched this idea. Bakit wala pa?
sa ngayon, wala pa yung bakuna eh.
Okay, so it's a
we're just
supply
waiting.
problem, sir, not
Supply
not
problem, we're just
not a
waiting.
government rollout.
And actually, the one of the issue that has to be discussed is how can the people, how can the companies who place the order go on board? Because during the tripartite agreement on this procurement of the vacuna, everything goes to Department of Health. And you remember earlier, the government was still requesting the private sector, even their allocations be given to be used by the government
Yeah.
purpose, no? But lately, with more donations coming in, I think the government is willing now to give the private sector their share. Now I don't know how many, how many percentage. In
Okay.
the AstraZeneca, it's about 17 million.
So, sir, do you think that was a rational decision naman na until the government has been able to take a target population, siguro the most vulnerable, even not the working people yet, then it's now time. We're now at A4. It's supposed to be June 1 na po yung start. How is the private sector more involved during this A4 part of the
Well,
process?
the private sector has been involved at least on the local government level. Okay, we have discussion with the MMDA chairman Benher Avalus, and also some of the city bigger cities mayor to discuss how the private sector can tap into the LGU and make arrangement for their people to be vaccinated. Like here in San Juan, we have already gotten notice from the city of San Juan, Mayor Francis Zamora, that those working in San Juan, okay, you can register to their website, and as long as you are, either a resident or working in San Juan, you will be given priority on the A4. Okay, A4 is pertaining to people who works outside their homes and who need to commute to their workplace. So that is good, but the number of vaccinations that we're doing per day is still quite low. Okay, we're still probably reaching about 200,000 jobs a day. But if you divide it by two, because you need two jobs, two dosages, you split it.
Okay.
I brought this out during the meeting with Okta. I said you need at least 600,000 a day,
Okay.
okay, for
Sir,
us
with
to
the
reach.
with the private sector's initiatives and participation, how much more vaccine doses per day can we actually achieve if there's even an understanding of that?
I couldn't second guess that because again it depends on the availability of the
Supply.
vaccine, and they have to work out really how to share this. Of course, the private sector has been very supportive. They're not claiming that what we ordered we should get it right away. They're
Okay.
willing naman to have the government use it muna and then later
Yeah.
on replaced. So I guess we have to play it by ear. But the other fact, Danny, that as I mentioned earlier, that I hope that the economy would be gradually opened up, not purely dictated by the vaccination number. At the onset of this COVID pandemic, the whole exercise is to flatten the curve. Okay? When we say flatten the curve, ibig sabihin, the hospitals, the medical frontliners, they will not be overwhelmed. Okay? If you think about it, in the last 1 year, maraming pinagawa ng private sector, government, yung mga quarantine center, mga treatment centers, yung mga hospital, halos lahat may mga COVID wing. And if you look at the utilization, it ranges between 40 to 50%. Although
Okay.
may mga surges, okay? And I think the government should balance that. You cannot avoid sisipa
Surges.
yung infection. But if you can treat it, and if the turnaround time is fast, that's why I said let's not forget about the treatment side. The
Correct.
treatment is just as important as vaccination. So
Okay.
that even with 30% of the population in the NCR plus being vaccinated, we should gradually open already.
Okay. Sir, last question po because we're running out of time. You mentioned that a big hurdle is the second jab not being availed of. There needs to be contact tracing. How can this be solved in any way? And if the private sector does take care of its own employees, for example, is this going to be more assured? Is there going to be a better way
Yes,
for us to
yes,
be sure that that happens?
yes. I definitely. If we are the one doing the, I mean, for bigger companies, not everyone can do it. For the bigger companies, they would definitely, have the administration's office to do contacting. Actually, we have contact tracing. That's what I was wondering when I heard that a lot of those who got the first jobs did not return. I said, sayang naman, meron tayong
Ay,
contact.
naman, amin na lang.
Di ba? Di ba? When you go there, all of us, I think all of them, as I observe in the Bakuno Center, lahat naman may cellphone, may number, may contact number. Di ba? Captured na yan eh. So once you have captured, you tell them because alam mo mga Pinoy minsan busy, nalimutan. And it's when it laps too long, the first job it's not effective anymore. Sayang
Okay.
naman, di ba? So I hope that area can be patched, no? The government. But again, yung to see hoping that the economy will gradually open up. I hope we will not just be dictated by number, no? Of course,
Okay.
the number plays an important role, but all the rest, contact tracing, treatment, and flattening the curve, these are all factors for us to boost our confidence in opening our economy.
Okay,
Thank
so
you,
let's
Dan.
get the wheels turning there already, even without the numbers showing the data yet. Thank you so much for those insights,
Thank
George
you, Danny.
Barcelon. Thank you, sir. Private sector representative of LEDAC and past PCCI president. Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZA, is looking to attract Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund for potential foreign direct investments into key areas in the Philippines. This would be the first time PEZA would try to tap a sovereign wealth fund for investments. PEZA Director General Charito Plaza says they're studying it because Saudi investors want big ticket investments, not just medium or small. In January, Saudi Arabia announced plans to double its public investment fund to about 1.1 trillion US dollars by 2025. And last month, PEZA met virtually with the Philippine Embassy to the KSA to draft plans on attracting these foreign investments in the country, especially in the engineering, architecture, design, and outsourcing sectors. Now, the government is set to spend 2.3 trillion pesos in the second half of the year. That's slightly lower than the first half program, as the start of the rainy season may hamper the infrastructure projects. The Development and Budget Coordination Committee set a 1.12 trillion peso disbursement target for the third quarter and a 1.17 trillion peso spending goal for the fourth quarter. The 2.3 trillion peso spending goal for the second half is about 6% lower than the target in the first half, but about 4% higher than the 2.2 trillion pesos spent in the second half of 2020. The government is planning to ramp up spending this year to stimulate economic recovery, create more jobs, and complete big-ticket infrastructure projects. And that's a first look into the business day. Today is Thursday, June 10, 2021. Catch Businessworld live for the market close. It's at 3:15 p.m. today. I'm Danie Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.